Hi everyone, welcome. My name is Rita Nunão. I'm part of DreamDapps corporate team. Today, I'm going to resume all the segment themes of this month. Next month, in February, we will have something slightly different. So today, I want to put all the information together because during this month we did all the important segments information that you should know. So let's do this, but before, don't forget to subscribe our channel if you are not subscribed already.
DreamDapps. The dream is now.
So obviously we are going to talk about Bitcoin. We are going to gather all this month information in one. It's the important thing that you need to know. And Bitcoin, as we've been over these weeks, is a cryptocurrency, a form of electronic cash. It is a decentralized digital currency without a central bank or single administrator that can be sent from user to user on the peer-to-peer Bitcoin network without the need for an intermediation. Transactions, as we have been spoke, are verified by network nodes through cryptography and recorded in a public distributed ledger called blockchain. Bitcoin was invented by an unknown person or a group of people using the famous name of Satoshi Nakamoto and released as open source software in 2009. Bitcoins are created as a reward for a process known as mining. They can be exchanged for other currencies, products, and services. So we talked about the design, and the design we call it blockchain. Uh, so we are not going to do a broader coverage. We are just resuming what is important. And the Bitcoin blockchain is a public ledger that records Bitcoin transaction. It is implemented as a chain of blocks. Each block contains a hash of the previous block up to the genesis block of the chain. So it means a network of communicating nodes running Bitcoin software maintains the blockchain. Transactions from the payer X sends Y Bitcoins to pay Z that are broadcasted to this network using readily available software applications. We talked as well over the last few weeks about the transactions. The transactions are defined using a Forth-like scripting language consisting in one or more inputs and one or more outputs. When a user sends bitcoins, the user designates each address and the amount of bitcoin being sent to that address in an output. To prevent double spending, each input must refer always to a previous unspent output in the blockchain. So the use of multiple inputs corresponds to the use of multiple coins in a cash transaction. We talked as well about a favorite that are the transaction fees. And though transaction fees are optional, miners can choose which transactions to process and prioritize, and those are that pay higher fees. Of course, the blocks are running in chains of 10 minutes, so unless you need something very, very urgent, you will choose a higher fee. Otherwise, you can just be as you are because it will be okay as well. Miners can choose this transaction based on the fee paid relative to their storage size, not the absolute amount of money paid as a fee. These fees are generally measured in satoshis per byte, and the size of transaction is dependent on the number of inputs used to create the transaction. We talked about ownership And to be clear, in the blockchain, bitcoins are registered to Bitcoin addresses. So, by creating a Bitcoin address, it is required nothing more than picking a random valid private key and computing the corresponding Bitcoin address. This computation can be done in a split second, but the reverse, computing the private key of a given Bitcoin address, is mathematically unfeasible. So users can tell others or make public a Bitcoin address without compromising its corresponding private key. Moreover, the number of valid private keys is so vast that it's extremely unlikely someone will compute a key pair that is already in use and has funds. Um, you have to have attention to a very important detail. If the private key is lost, the Bitcoin network will not recognize any other evidence of ownership. The coins are then unusable and effectively lost for you. So you need to be aware of this. It's very important. So we talked a lot as well about supply, and the successful miner finding the new blocks is rewarded with newly created bitcoins and transaction fees. As of July 2016, the reward amounted to 12.5 roughly newly created bitcoins per block added to the blockchain. To claim this reward, a special transaction called the Coinbase is included with a process payment. So all bitcoins in existence have been created in such Coinbase transaction. So, in addition, the Bitcoin protocol specifies that the reward for adding a block will be halved 200,000 blocks every 4 years. So it's quite huge, huh? Eventually, the reward will decrease to zero and the limit of 21 million bitcoins will be reached. In other words, Bitcoin inventor Nakamoto set a monetary policy based on artificial scarcity at Bitcoin inception. We talked a lot as well about wallets, the importance of having a wallet, and a wallet stores the information necessary to transact Bitcoins. While wallets are often described as a place to hold or store Bitcoin, due to the nature of the system, Bitcoins are inseparable from the blockchain transaction ledger. So, a better way to describe a wallet is really something that stores the digital credentials for your Bitcoin holdings and allows one to access them. Bitcoin, as we spoke as well, uses a public key cryptography, in which two cryptography keys, one public and one private. Uh, in most basic, a wallet is a collection of these two keys. So we talked as well about privacy. Bitcoin is pseudonymous, meaning that funds are not tied to real-world entities, but rather Bitcoin addresses. Owners of Bitcoin's addresses are not explicitly identified, but all transactions on the blockchain are public. In addition, transactions can be linked to individuals and companies through idioms of use. For example, transactions that spend coins for multiple inputs indicate that the inputs may have a common owner. So this corroborates public transaction data with known information of owners of certain addresses. We talked about economics a lot as well, and as being Bitcoin a digital asset designed to work in peer-to-peer transactions as a currency, Bitcoin have three qualities useful in a currency. According to The Economist in 2015, they are hard to earn, limited in supply, and easy to verify. However, as of 2015, Bitcoin function more as a payment processor than even a currency. We talked as well about acceptance by markets, and about this one, the overwhelming majority of Bitcoin transactions took place on a cryptocurrency exchange rather than being used in transaction with merchants. Delays in processing payments through the blockchain of about 10 minutes make Bitcoin use very difficult in a retail setting. So, in terms of linking this with financial institutions, we spoke that Bitcoin can be bought on digital currency exchange, and unfortunately, because this currency is still a child, Bitcoin has not gained acceptance for use in international remittance despite high fees charged by banks and Western Union, which are the one that competes in this market. But unlike Bitcoin, these competitors accept and dispense cash and do not require the use of internet, which is a very distinct advantage in lower income countries. Uh, so, as an investment, we talked in the Winklevoss twins that have purchased Bitcoin in 2013, and the Washington Post reported a claim that they own 1% of all Bitcoins in existence at the time. So, they are for sure millionaires in this world. We talked about price and volatility, a very important subject that you need to be aware as well. Is the price of Bitcoin has gone through cycles of appreciation and depreciation, referred to by some as bubbles and busts. In 2011, the value of Bitcoin rapidly rose from about US $30 before returning to $2. And in the later half of 2012 and during the crisis until 2013, more or less, and roughly as well, the Bitcoin price began to rise and reaches a high of $200 on April 2013. In November 2013 as well, the cost of one Bitcoin rose to a peak of 1,400. So the rise was pretty quick, but we have some cycle in, as we can see in all currency markets. We spoke as well about regulatory warnings. And of course, the US Commodity Future Trading Commission has issued 4 customer advisories for Bitcoin and related investments. And so we knew that the exchanges are not regulated or supervised by a government agency. We knew as well the exchanges may lack system safeguards and customer protections, large price swings and flash crashes, market manipulation, theft and hacking, self-dealing by the exchanges. So we felt, and we are still facing media lobbying, government lobbies to decrease the fame of this coin. And we will always have that. We talked as well about decentralization and centralization. Bitcoin does not have a central authority, and the Bitcoin network is decentralized. So there is no central server. Bitcoin network is peer-to-peer. There is no central storage. Bitcoin ledger is distributed. The ledger is public, anybody can store it on their computer. There is no single admin. The ledger is maintained by a network of equally privileged miners. Anybody can become a miner as well. The addictions to the ledger are maintained through competition. Until a new block is added to the ledger, it is not known which miner will create the block. The issuance of bitcoins is decentralized. They are issued as a reward for the creation of a new block, and anybody can send a transaction to the network without needing any approval. The network merely confirms the transaction is legitimate. So, our main focus were on these important subjects that I was just resuming today, so we can put all together. We can talk about it with confidence. For the next month, we will have a slightly different segments with different themes. So this is all you need to know. If you have any doubt, just see all the previous segments, and please don't hesitate to contact us on the email that you can see here in the screen. We are glad to help you and hope to see you soon.